A scarier monster that is unpredictable, new terrifying sounds, and improved graphics. These elements are just part of the reason that the updated version of my horror game is much scarier than the last. In this video, I'll show you how and why I added these elements. So, I'm making a horror game called One Socket, which I'm releasing around Halloween this year. It's an escape room horror game that combines elements from horror games like FNAF and puzzle games like Myst. If that sounds interesting to you, you can wishlist it on Steam. In my last video, I talked about the 3 main problems with One Socket. In short, the game was not scary enough and quite boring to play. I explain it more in that video, you should probably watch it after this one. Anyway, in the last 3 weeks, I've been working on fixing those problems. Let's start with how I changed the monster. The main threat in One Socket is the creepy monster lurking in the dark, but a threat has to be scary. If it's not really a threat anymore. To make the monster scarier, I changed the elements of it, which would affect the predictability of the monster. Basically, the way it moves is now way more unpredictable. Every few seconds, it has a certain chance to move, and when it moves, it has a certain chance to move either backwards or forwards. This is pretty much exactly how the animatronics in FNAF works. It makes the movement very unpredictable, and that's exactly what I want. I also changed what happens when the monster comes close. In the first version, the closer the monster got, the more chance it had to kill and jump scare you. Having the monster work this way going forward could have worked fine, but it was too easy getting killed and did not build as much tension as I wanted it to. Also, it could never kill you or move forward if you were directly looking at it. This made it very easy to deal with, as you could just look directly at the monster all the time, and you would never get killed, making it seem very harmless. Now in the new version, when it's close for a certain amount of seconds, it will first unplug the lamp and only allow you to plug it back in after you scare it off. If you don't do that, it will jump scare you. These 2 changes make the monster harder to fight off and leads to it being more scary. That was all for the monster. Next up is graphics. Look at this screenshot from the old version. It looks quite boring, doesn't it? The walls are flat and there's nothing really to tell you where you are. Is it a corridor, a bathroom, a cardboard box? I wanted to change that for the new version. So I added textures to the walls and floors, and also some pipes on the walls to give it more of a feeling that you have been put in a weird underground experiment room. Convincing the player that what they are playing is real is something that has a strong effect in horror games. For this reason, I didn't feel like the code pad was realistic enough. It kinda looked like some magic buttons that floated on the wall. So this led me to create a much more improved code pad with tactile buttons that made much more of a satisfying click sound. Which brings us onto the topic of sound.
Baby. Boo boo. Bear.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is how I made the sounds for the monster. You might not believe me, but it's true. If you slow down speech far enough, it becomes very uncanny and creepy. Here is an example. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Then you can just add some reverb. And there we go. A scary monster sound. I made 6 different types of these sounds, with 2 different variations. One variation being far away, the technical term being wet reverb, and the other variation being dry reverb, or in other words, sounding close by. Which of these 2 variations will play in game depends on where the monster is on the map. I also added ambient sounds that give the feeling like they are happening around the player. These sounds are all very muffled, so they seem like they are happening in a different room and far away. Apart from this, I got some feedback from the first demo version that players were brute forcing the last digit of the code, including Daniel Mullins, developer of Inscryption. I had to come up with a way to stop people from just guessing the last digit, so I fixed it in quite a fun way. I won't spoil it for you though, you'll have to play the game yourself to see it. So that's how I made my horror game scarier. Right now, I'm not sure what to do next. I really need your feedback on this latest version. So tell me what you like and don't like about the game right now. I really value your feedback because I want to make this game as enjoyable as possible for everyone who plays it. And you guys have great ideas for improvements. In the meantime, I'll be waiting for your responses and working on a smaller game jam project. See you guys in the next video.